can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
I'm Bruce.
And I'm Steven.
Hey. Well, we're finally here.
Yeah.
The Sil0 stories.
Kind of a shock, but
Yeah.
Three short stories. This was all of our first time to
kind
read
of
this.
three,
Yeah.
but one really. But,
When I first read it, I don't think
they intertwine.
Let me make sure. The Sil0 stories didn't exist when we first read it, right?
No, these are real.
It was something that came out later on. My brother said that Amazon, or back in the day, they used to make you or suggest you when you're going to put something in print, an ebook in print, that you add some short stories so people will buy it. Buy the copies, and he thinks that's maybe why they were there. Was there another reason that he had written these short stories?
Well, I think these came out after the fact, and the Sil0 series was a huge success for him. It made him a household name as an author, put him on the New York Times bestsellers and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't doing this to sell his stuff. I think he wrote it because he felt like writing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he in the audio, I don't know if it's in the written book, but he has a foreword and an afterword.
You had me listen to them, right? Yeah, I just listened to them.
Okay.
So no,
talking about how everybody wants their story to.
Let's talk about the stories first.
Yeah,
let's talk about the short stories first.
Okay.
Okay. But no, we'll definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
It was in the mountains. No. I'm sorry. In the air, in the mountains, and
In the woods.
In the woods.
Okay. So in the air is the first one about a man named John. Is that right? His name was John.
And this is all this takes place kind
His
of
name John
I
during
think
the
so.
Yeah.
I can't
quote
remember.
modern times. It's like during the
this is during the
when the silos get locked down.
when they go to the silos. But this is somewhere different. A guy who was working on the silos was supposed to report to the silos because he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Decides, screw it. No, I'm not going to live my life in a silo. I'm not going to live.
He and his daughter and wife.
Yeah, and so they just
11-year-old daughter. Or
yeah.
something
Now
like
he hasn't told his wife or kid. They're going camping, is what he says, and they are going out to the woods because it's the end of the world. And of course, when the planes shoot overhead, that's when he pulls over and tells his wife. Right?
Yeah.
Because he had a little bit of doubt that
His
it
wife's
was really going to
scared.
happen.
Right. He pulls over before it's going to happen.
Oh,
knows the time.
yeah. I'm sorry. The
And-
time
and
happens. And he
she's
thinks,
like, "What's going
it
on?"
hasn't happened, so maybe I was wrong. And then
Yeah.
all hell breaks loose because then we find out what happens to the outside world.
Yes.
Is basically
Right.
what we're finding
Yeah.
out.
That's
You
kind of
live
one of the nice things about
through the whole disaster.
Because he was treated with the
Nanobites, the good nanobites.
Right.
To protect
All
him and his
of
family.
them were.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they were supposed to go in the silos.
Yeah, a year or so previously, his daughter broke her leg or something like that. And
Right.
While they were in getting treatment or something like that, they treated
healed.
the whole family.
Yeah, they treated the whole family. So the world's falling apart. People are crashing. People are just dying. They're just dying at the wheel. So there's
Everybody
wrecks.
pretty
and-
much is dying
And
instantaneously.
he throws in a little bit of little sci-fi futuristic stuff in there with auto driving cars
Yeah.
and people taking it off of auto drive and crashing and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
Add that little element.
and there
to
was
it.
the planes that crashed hours and hours after the event because first off autopilot took over and then
Right.
they were gliding, and so they were still a long period of time when stuff was falling out of the sky just because the planes were able to keep themselves up until they ran out of gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they run out of gas. He gets another car. They head toward just the woods, I guess.
He had
Yeah.
a cabin in mind that he wanted to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a buddy's cabin. He's military, basically covert ops or
Yeah,
something
we
like
should-
that.
we should
or a
say this-
spy.
Yeah,
There
we're
is
going
a-
to tie it in because there's the tie into the second story.
Well, but there is a flashback. That's why I say there's a flashback. He's in Paris a
Right,
year
it
or
does-
two before this even happens.
Yeah, it flashbacks to like 3 days before, then like
Yeah.
a year before, and
And so a year before, he is sleeping with another woman.
He's
And
on a mission where he meets where he's with this other girl.
he's working on the project. She's working on something else too, but she doesn't know what it is. He
Right.
does. Mm-hmm. And
she works for maybe NSA or
some
something.
third party
I don't even
vendor.
know if she even says.
Yeah, I don't know if she says, but she's a part of it. She doesn't know what she's a part of. She doesn't know what she's helping out with, right? She's helping him. I thought they were there for the same reason, but he knows and she doesn't.
anything to do with
How
this.
they meet then?
She has nothing to do with Sil0.
No.
Okay,
She just,
I thought she was
they
innocently
are
working.
both government.
Okay, so they just okay.
I think
I
it
thought
was-
they were working together, though
Yeah.
she was in the dark.
She
and
was
he
in the dark,
knew.
yeah.
But I thought they were working together, which is how they met. But she was one of the people that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of left out there.
Yeah.
It's not.
But I thought she was.
It's not relevant.
I thought she was a contractor, but didn't know what it was. She didn't know what it was. She was a contractor for a small piece, and that's how they met.
Yeah, that may have been.
But he knew what it was for, and she did not. She just thought she was doing a small piece.
He had the plan.
Yeah, he had the book.
She was just there to help out, and that's how they met. But what is her name again?
Tracy.
Okay, so anyway, it ends. The first short story ends.
Well, it ends. It ends. Bruce alluded to it. It ends with him and his family at the cabin. They make it to the cabin, and that's whenever he just starts hearing kind of this rumble over his head, and realizes there's a plane crashing. That he's on a lake, and it crashes on the other side of the lake, and no engines or anything because it'd run out of fuel, and the autopilot's probably trying to keep it level and stuff. And he's talking about, or he's thinking everything, just about everything's an inner monologue for him.
Yeah.
He's contemplating, okay, what happens to my daughter?
Because they're going to grow old and die.
Yeah. And so she can be left alone in the world because there's no one in the world.
Yeah, there's nobody else. And she's never going to find love. She's never going to have a boyfriend or anything.
She's going to die
like
alone.
That. Yeah.
Because everyone alive is living in the silo.
Yeah, then he starts thinking, well,
and she's not even.
I'll never even know who those people. Nobody's going to identify those bodies of the planes and everything. Just it all starts kind of hitting home. Just like everything's over.
The loneliness and desperation of the situation. It was futile.
Yeah,
it was futile.
Yeah,
for what his actions was, which was kind of like it's like a Twilight Zone ending.
Yeah,
it really would have been better.
It is a very bleak ending. He and his wife and their daughter. You think, okay, take me and my kids up into the woods. We're going to survive this. But then, what happens after that?
Yeah,
your kids are just
there's nothing
by
left for
themselves after you're dead, and they're by themselves until they die.
Yeah. So that's just it was a few moments of it. So that's kind of how the first one ends. And
well,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Part of that story was some of the flashbacks and stuff like that.
Right.
Tracy calls him 2 days before, something like that, and says, "Hey, are you coming?"
Right, which we don't know what that means.
He hasn't decided or anything. He's sitting there. He's got 2 tickets to go to it, or 3 tickets to go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
To be part of the silo, and he's got 3 tickets to go to Colorado.
He kind of figures that it's not really something that he's going to come out. He read between the lines and figured out my family's not going to live through the silo.
Right.
They're he read between the lines and it's like, this is a one-way trip going there, and so it's not worth it. That's why he decided to go off on his own.
Yeah. But go ahead.
I can't remember if this is in the first story or not, but I got the feeling already at that point that there was an alternative.
Yeah, well,
I think the alternative is in the next
they'll
book.
spell it out.
I don't think they don't tell you what that's about yet. That's revealed in the second story arc. But anyway, the first one already had me hooked.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
yeah,
this isn't just. I thought this was when it said Silo Stories. I didn't know anything about
another silo.
I thought it was about another silo, just 3 random stories about other silos, and maybe that was it. So anyway, I was like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Life outside that we haven't seen that yet.
Right.
So that's an interesting twist. Well, then the second one, you instantly realize it's kind of a pseudo sequel because now it focuses on Tracy.
Right.
And what happened that night when they were together in Paris is she peeked at his folder, and she saw what was really going on. That's when she realized, oh my God, this is what we're working on. That's why he said. But the thing is though, when she tried to pick it up, he screamed at her to put it down like it was freaked out. Like it was deadly.
Like his wife
and
was walking
down. She never, if he would have acted normal, like, God, get that down. What are you doing? That's boring. She wouldn't have. But because he freaked out, that's what perked her interest. She went, what was that? So later on, when he goes to bed, she checks out and goes, oh my God. So
she's flipping through the book with her phone on record because she knows she's not going to have enough time to read it then.
And by the way, it is the manual. It's the order.
The same thing
it's a draft of the order.
Gets.
Yeah, it's a draft of the order is what she's saying. She's like, oh my gosh. And so we flash forward to the present day of the Atlanta, the beginning of the silo. Day 1, we'll just say that. Day 0.
Yeah.
And so she is sitting in Colorado with some of her friends. They've got a little mountain base that they've huddled in. They smuggled in some food. They got a few people there, and she was the reason he invited him. So she was the invite to Colorado. She's waiting for him.
Right.
And she's waiting. They wait till the last 5 minutes are up. We got to go. And she's like, he isn't coming.
We got to close this door.
That's when she knows he's not coming. She was hoping against hope he'd come. He didn't. So now they lock themselves in the mountain, and then, everything happens.
Yeah.
Well,
and then she's got to go explain what just happened.
She invited her family, and everybody else did. There was a small group of people that knew
small
what was going
15.
on. And they,
no. There's 50 or so.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah,
Okay.
There's 50 or so first.
No, there was more than 50.
Well, there's a couple hundred maybe.
150 or
150 or something. There's a small portion of them.
Okay.
But they're all
and they
secluded
each got
in the
to
mountains.
invite some people.
Yeah. And so they're all in there, and they start doing the calculations after everything, goes to hell. And the guy kind of groans and goes, "Oh no," because he realizes something in the order that they all missed. What they were looking at was a shift for 6 months.
Yeah.
And they thought that meant that this would last for 6 months. So they packed enough food for 3 times that amount, just in case.
Right.
But it turns out it's not 6 months. It's 500 years.
Yeah.
But in 6 month shifts. And then he kind of realized that too late.
Right.
They were so busy getting everything busy. When they read it, they kind of skipped over some stuff. And then they hurried to get this base put together. They only had 1 year to put everything together. And then they realize, oh my gosh, these people aren't treated, by the way, so they can't go out or anything. So that's why they're secluded in the mountain. But they're like, oh no, there's not enough food. We're going to last at max a year and a half. Yeah. And they said, well, what's the lowest we can make? He said, well, we got to whittle it down to 15.
Yeah.
Well, then it gets very quiet. 15 people out of 150.
Yeah. They have the choice of
and
killing
they have
all their friends and family that they brought with them.
Yeah.
Or
basically open up the door and just let it happen.
Everybody's going to starve to death in 18 months.
It's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to start looking like ham sandwiches to one another in a year.
Someone references the Donner Party and
right.
What's that? And
yeah.
You don't know the story of the Donner Party, then.
So so they're screwed.
Yeah.
So what they decide to do
is revenge.
We're
going to do the hard story. We're gonna get it down to 15, and we're going to tell the story that whoever survives this
is going to go out and get revenge on these mother effers after 500 years.
Now they do have one cryogenic freezer thing.
Yes. Now this is my
quit working on once they realized what it was. They quit working on. So they're going off of just the
plans of the cryogenic freezer
and any little bit of information that Tracy's been able to get because she's in the government.
So they complete this cryogenic freezer. They got one. They figured that they can stuff 2 bodies in one. And so which 2 do we want to preserve? And then there's 15 of us that we can live less, and everyone else has to die.
And they offered it to Tracy because she's the one that kind of brought it to everybody.
To everyone.
We'll let you... We'll let you take this
be
part,
the one.
You'll sleep for 500 years.
Yeah, and then come out and get revenge. She says, "No, this is my fault. I skipped over that part. We read it wrong." She feels responsible, and then that's running away from the problem, which is how to kill all these people in the mountain now.
And also, she realizes, I don't have anybody. There's nobody here that I would be willing to couple with to do everything. So. One of her invites was her sister
and her husband
and brother-in-law.
Oh, brother, yeah.
And
that
so
would be gross otherwise.
Yeah. No, sister and her sister's husband.
Yeah, her sister and
So anyway, they decide that those will be the ones. Now,
but they don't tell them.
No, they don't tell them. But the thing is, though, that's it. That's it. We don't hear any more of Tracy and the group. We don't know what their decision was, how they killed these people, what if they killed these people. We don't know what happened.
Right.
The next thing we know is her sister and her husband wake up, and they're like, what happened? To them, they just fell asleep one night, and they feel a little stiff, they feel a little sick, they feel a little weak.
Cold.
Yeah, they're cold. And they're like, what is going on? They see the note now, and they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because they froze us against their will. You gotta go out. These, we're long gone. You've been sleeping for 500 years. Now it's time to go get revenge. And they're like, oh, OMG. This is wow. All right.
Yeah. But this is a nice couple. These are really, you relate to these people. They're kind.
You're inside
they're
her head.
They were very upset that Tracy tricked them into even being there. I mean, because they were just normal everyday people.
Yeah.
Why would their sister be involved in this plot to destroy the world?
She's a school teacher. He's a CPA or something like that.
And as they're getting their feet in front of them and getting kind of coming cognizant of the situation, that's when something enters the room.
Yeah.
What is the word it says?
At the door and
human beast creature.
it's a human
half
beast,
human, half animal.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's got long hair. It's a human, but it's not. It doesn't look.
They don't realize that
there's a
first.
gun in the bin that Tracy leaves for them, and he's messing with it and everything like that. And this thing comes in, and she's like, "Do you know how to use that thing?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I think so." And as he's like trying to draw a bead on it, it jumps.
And, it
jumps
first
at
it looks
him,
at
yeah.
him and says 15.
Yeah, it says something. I can't remember what it is. It's
15.
yeah,
And you told me you thought they were saying 15.
yeah.
So it looks like
But
this is whatever happened to the survivor. Something weird happened, and they're all beast now.
Yeah.
Basically, there's some kind of religious idea in their head of only.
But they don't speak English. That's the only thing they can say.
So this thing jumps him.
Yeah.
This half human, half whatever.
Well, they
beast.
realize after
it's
they-
got hair all over it and everything like that. Jumps him, bites off 2 of his fingers, and he finally is able to kill it. Then another one comes in, and
female.
yeah, a female one says the same thing,
Yeah.
and then attacks.
Yeah.
And so he shoots and kills it,
And then
another one
and then cut scene.
Says the same thing.
Cut
says
scene.
and walks
yeah
away.
says
And
the
then-
same thing, and then kind of
Just ignores
15
It's-
and walks out.
Yeah, because now there is 15 of them because
Yeah.
they killed 2.
2 more came.
And so everything is okay again.
Yeah.
Now that's really wild.
Yeah.
But then
it tells me there's a backstory. I want to know what
I know,
happened
Well,
in this
well, even
island.
in a short story, he leaves us a
after
question.
after knowing the silos, the silo story,
Yeah.
wool and all of that, and how one birth or one
Yeah.
death, one birth type
Yeah.
thing.
It
And
became
then them
something
saying
different
something
in
that
there.
sounded a little bit like 15, and then the 2 come in, they die, the next one comes in, it's like, okay, we're good.
We're at 15
So,
now.
So
Yeah.
I would
But I don't
love
know
to
that you
know
would have
they-
gotten that connection if you hadn't read the other ones first.
What they've turned into.
Really, what's the last?
Well, all you have to do is read that
when I
short
was
story.
when I was
To
listening,
know
Yeah.
they're down to 15.
When I was listening to it the first time, it was the last one that said the 15.
Yeah.
I went, oh, it's 15.
15, yeah.
That's the- that was like the third or fourth time you heard the word, but that was when it clicked.
But that's
I was
all they
it said
say.
15.
That's all they say. So
Did you catch it earlier whenever you were reading it?
No. This is when you told me last week, and then it all made sense.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so they don't explain anything else of that. Fast forward, now they're off in the woods, going to seek.
Well,
or
no,
they're
hold on.
hiking.
It doesn't. You don't see them. You switch to
At least.
Elise.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
She's out hunting.
This is a
Yeah.
few years,
And this is in
after
the woods.
After
is
they've
more
made
years.
it out.
Yeah,
It's in the woods.
I would say
Elise
more than a
is-
few. This has been a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah.
They've been
So
out
this
there
is
a
the
long
Elise
third
is a
one.
grown woman.
Yeah,
she's
she's a
out
grown woman.
hunting.
We're thinking what 6 years? I think they said has passed.
time. I don't know if they said,
They do. They do. 'Cause
Yeah.
she's a teenager now.
but she is.
She's
And-
fully grown.
And
Best
Solo's
hunter.
there helping her out.
And other
she said she
silos-
had 6 years worth of hunting experience. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Elise does. So whether she came out immediately learning how to hunt, I don't know. But
Well-
yeah, she's probably at least 16. I would
She's
say.
she's a teenager now.
We
Solo,
find out that they've helped other silos come out.
Uh-huh.
the other silos have kind of wandered out into their town now, so their town's a little bit grown, not too much. It's coming together, and as she shoots a deer, is that
Yeah,
what
she
it is?
shoots a deer
and then she sees
with a bow and arrow.
Yeah,
Not-
she
not
sees
a
the
gun.
couple from the mountains. We don't know how they got. I mean, we just know they've been trekking.
Yeah,
and
he helps her field dress the deer and everything and
Right.
drag it back.
Yeah, and she's used to seeing people come out, strangers come out. So she
these are people that were in Colorado.
right.
and have
She doesn't know
trekked
that.
She doesn't
though.
know that.
No,
She,
we know that.
She
as a
thinks
reader.
they're people. I know we do, but
Yeah.
she thinks they're people from the
As soon as
silo.
they say their names, because you get their names.
Right. She thinks they're people from the silo, so she's taking them to see Julie and to get acclimated to everything, to a welcome,
introduce them,
because
yeah.
they've done this gig before.
Yeah, she tells them you don't have to tell your story. You
yeah.
don't have to say anything. We'll tell you our story around the fire tonight.
Whenever you're ready.
and
Whenever you're
yada,
ready,
Yada
yeah.
yada And they're nice and
Yeah.
just
They're helping
the thing
out.
is, well,
helping out.
I've noticed from the get go they weren't acting the same.
No.
as they did when they
No, they're
woke up.
they're acting
Well-
changed than when they were.
yeah.
And the thing is, we don't know
well,
how long it's been.
I
for
didn't.
them.
I didn't
But
realize
we don't
that there
know
was
how long
something-
this journey's been for them.
No, I didn't realize that there was something a little bit weird until they said that they had run into other people already, and
Right.
then I was like, okay, they've run into other people.
I felt
now they're acting a little weird.
I felt that was a lie. Well,
No,
it may have been a lie, but maybe the man been talking about the people from Colorado.
No, the thing is, Elise said she knew who those other people were. She said, "Oh yeah, those are
they ran into another tribe. It was a scouting party.
Yes,
gotcha. Okay, so it may be a couple months to get from Colorado to Atlanta or outside of Atlanta, which is where they were, right?
I think he said they had been out for several years.
Yeah, that's fine.
I definitely got the impression that it's been years since they woke up.
I mean, he went from an accountant to somebody
left.
that could help field dress a deer.
Well,
right.
They mentioned that he was a hunter before.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a hunter before he was.
I don't remember that.
He knew that was something he knew.
Okay,
that was a flashback to his old life.
Yeah. So anyway, they're in the they take them to the sea. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Lakeside,
the
seaside?
ocean. They're
and
on
that's where they were. That's where they were thinking about moving eventually at the end of Dust.
The Atlantic somewhere.
Yeah.
They even talk about the Carolinas, as she calls it, and he corrects her, saying the Carolinas, and she's like, "No, it's Carolinas."
It's Carolinas. Like you don't know how to pronounce it. So that was kind of good. Well, then they bring her to the town. Jules is living in Juliet's living in a treehouse, right?
Nah, something like
that.
They're on the beach. Solo's fishing. Courtney,
Solo's
I think, is
right there, right off the beach.
Yeah.
They can all see.
I kind of got the impression that maybe Solo and Courtney were.
They were together, but we're not really told. But they were together.
But there's a lot of there's world building going on.
Right. So anyway, Juliet introduces herself.
Yeah,
and they shoot her.
Yeah,
and that's it. She died. They killed her.
The sister. I can't even remember their names.
Peter and something. I know his name is Peter or whatever. But anyway,
they ensure that.
Kill her.
Like, are you the leader here?
Are you the leader?
In charge?
Are you in charge?
Says, and then she says, "Okay," and she pulls out a gun and says, "You didn't get away with it," and kills her.
Yeah, just like that. Solo comes running off the beach screaming. So does Alicia. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, what just happened?"
Elise,
and
Elise arrows.
Yeah, Elise drops them both.
Yeah, they're both dead. Yeah, with arrows.
Yeah,
but Juliet just passes away in peace. They said she's at peace now, and that's it. And you're like, did they just? I mean, I remember reading that and going, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
I know. I'm reading that. It's like, why did you even write this?
Yeah.
I was like, you killed off your main character in a short story.
Yeah.
Bravo.
It's not even a main character of a short story. She has a cameo to die.
I know. No. You're right. She's in the last 2 pages. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You're like, wait, what?
I've never had an author do that to me before.
This is a short story. How can you give the biggest death in a short... I loved it.
You know how? He probably hung out with George R. Martin one night and was like, I know what to do with that character.
It was really... I was like, I cannot believe this trilogy of short stories. 72 pages, folks. Or how much time you said? 30 minutes or something?
The first story was the longest one.
Well, the thing is...
Either way.
I would say no more than 30 minutes for all 3.
And it was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Now we get to the afterward, what he wrote. Go ahead. Well, he said you can't...
Well, he talked about
letting go of your main character.
He talked about how authors, complain about letting go of the characters. Fans, like to think of their favorite characters living on forever. But we all know that it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
and he's
they have to have an ending.
So he's going to write the ending, but he's also going to tell you it's like this is not the end. There's other stories that we can write. We can go back. This has been years and years, and we can fill in the gaps of what happened between when they got the Silo and when she died.
Right, it's been at least 6 years.
Yeah, we can talk about. He said we can talk about Silo 40. We can talk about her third and final chance at love, Juliet. And I was like, whoa, what? And then what was the third one?
There's one in the middle. The time that she lost the mayoral vote
by one vote, and that was her own vote.
Yeah, and her trip to South Old Florida.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Old Florida.
So all this stuff is like, wait.
Saw the alligators and like, no.
I was thinking, wait. When did all this happen? No, he just has these ideas.
Yeah, he's got the ideas. He's got more stories for her in her mind, but he's saying just like people hold the idea of killing Chewbacca as being something you should never do. But it's like no, you can do it, and you can still go back and tell more stories.
Yeah, there's still more stories
to tell. It's just
don't be afraid to end your character.
But I will say this: if we were going to rank the books, I would say the Silo, the first book, is the best one.
Yeah.
This might be the second best if I was going to put these short
Silo
stories.
stories, short stories.
And which is crazy. It's
I don't
definitely
know.
better than the third book.
No, I don't think it is, but I do think Sil0 Stories is great.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's superb. It's amazing how, if you notice this, it's called Sil0 Stories. Not a single story happens in the silo.
Nope.
But I love it. I love that because it subverted my expectations in a proper way.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is great. And it made a nice bow tie ending to the trilogy.
And
after you finish the trilogy, it is. I will.
And
when I reread these again one day, Sil0 Stories is definitely gonna get rewritten.
Oh, I know.
Reread.
And the thing is, it's
Again.
left me with a hole of wanting more. I want to know what happened in Colorado. I want to know what happened after they woke up.
this
I
is
integrated to this group.
I am most curious about what happened in the 500 years.
Well,
with the
they
15.
They did ask. Elise asked them, how many were you? And they said 15. And it's just the two of us left. And the thing is, they are acting so different in their interaction with Elise than when they woke up.
Something has happened.
These are different people now. Something tragic
Did they
has
have
happened.
to kill the rest of them?
Yeah.
Were they ever able to communicate with them?
And why did they decide that this was the path they needed to go on? Because they didn't seem like the type of person that would go on this murder mission.
Yeah, why would they be mad?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Like,
up to the whole question you're asking as you're reading the third story is, are they going to do it? They're not going to do it. They're not going to get
They weren't
there.
the type of person that would do that.
Solo's going to figure
But
it
it's
out, or at
hinted.
least
Yeah,
gonna figure it out. They're going to stop.
They're
going to
talk to him for a while and say,
and then they're going to realize, and they're going to put the gun down.
That's what most authors would do.
Yeah. No, that's right. But that's what I was thinking too. So they didn't go that way. It was great. It's a great trilogy. This is my first time reading it, and I was like just blown away at how good. I thought Sil0 Stories before we had started this. I hadn't read it yet, and then after we read Dust, I'd already read it, and before I read it, I was thinking, okay, this is probably not going to be as good. We can probably loop it in with Dust, just like. And here's some side stories. He talked about other silos. That's what I was going to think it was.
Yeah.
And this was okay. That one was so-so, and that one was great. I thought that's what the review was going to be.
Yeah.
And after I read the first one, I was like, okay,
this has got to be its own.
this is going to be its own. And that's why when we talked on Shift, you said, well, we're going to do them both together. I said, no, it deserves its own podcast because there's so much there to unpack. And we're talking about 3 short stories, folks.
Yeah.
3 short stories, and yet it's a powerful read.
It is.
To get you asking
so
questions
much
about
to it.
I don't know.
To get you asking questions about what happened in the mountain, but you can still ask questions about what goes on with John.
The thing is, it's
how
short
do they live their
stories,
life
but
being
there
the
could be-
only people in the world?
There could be a whole trilogy of books telling me the backstories of the short stories.
all the-
and
he introduced-
I would want as much as he can give me.
He introduced 2 separate worlds: the people in the mountain and the people just living in the cabin. And you could do more stories with them. You could do more stories. What's it like being the last humans in the world?
Yeah.
And with nothing but nature
I
around
would take
you.
more stories about the little girl that got left after her
I
parents
don't
died.
know.
What happens to her?
But it's wild.
I'd like to know that are there other random people that didn't show up to Atlanta?
and so does she
They
run
said,
into
"No,
them?
I'm not."
There
there's-
probably is more than one.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, he once again, if we talk about peeling that onion where there's just a new layer, he totally said, okay, get your mind out of the silo. Think about the world going on outside the silo, folks. Because still, our heads are buried in the silo still from the series. And now you're thinking, no, life adventures can happen outside the silo. Here's a few. And you're like, oh my gosh. And now you're thinking about all this other stuff that could be going on in the world. Not that much. But the thing is, though, he kind of just opened the world up a little bit more for us in 3 short stories, which I thought was really wonderful.
Yeah. And one of the things that, I don't know if y'all remember, I think it was whenever we were doing Shift, whenever the blast went off, I was under the assumption that it was a nuclear blast.
Well, I think that
It
was...
wasn't.
No, it
Because
wasn't.
it didn't, I mean...
I
if
think-
you had a nuclear blast that's going to just decimate the world,
Right.
All the theories say it causes a nuclear winter that lasts for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And everything. I was like, okay, well, if it's only been
500.
no, it hadn't even been 500. It's only been what, like
300, whatever.
No,
Two and a half,
100,
like
yeah,
250.
250 years maybe.
Okay.
So the world has recovered. They only see in the silos. They only see what's around them.
Oh, did they say 250?
Whenever you talk about the albino guy,
because if that's it, then that's a contradiction in the whole story.
It is because the albino guy's talking about how his girlfriend was saying that that there's enough for another 240.
I thought it was 100-something years left.
It was 200 and something. It was 240 something years.
Okay, so there's a little thawed out 500 years later.
Well, we'll have to ask Hugh Howey about this.
Yeah,
so
they're 250 years late.
There's a little
to get Juliet.
Yeah, she would be long gone by then.
Yeah.
Okay,
but regardless of that, the whole thing about the nuclear blast is the world is fine. Evidently, these nanites only
went out and killed all the people.
Only killed the people.
Yes.
Only the people.
It had no effect on the machines because we're talking about the cars are perfectly drivable.
Yeah.
The airplanes, they're only running out of fuel.
And that guy in the first story talked about how when he was going out to look for stuff, he was letting dogs out of the cars.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it only took care destroyed the humans. So anybody that could have been inoculated, basically, that didn't go to Atlanta, was so isolated from where these nanites would be.
So, I got the impression.
You think of backwoods, West Virginia, or
my impression was that the nuclear explosion was to cause the destruction that was around the silo area.
So that was a nuclear blast?
Whether it was nuclear or to make them think it was nuclear, what it was it caused the destruction so that the cameras always looking up saw the desolation. The world at large never had the desolation that the silos had.
Okay.
But the silos had to be devastated, and so that they always had the camera looking out at the devastated landscape.
Gotcha.
And
that's true because whenever they're in the short story, they're down in the bunker in Colorado, and they're watching the newscast. So they go in long enough for her to go and explain to her family, and then say, "Okay, I've got to go to a meeting," and then they go to this, newsroom basically thing, and they're watching the broadcast and the girls that sing the national anthem, and then all of a sudden, shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
And
then feeds start
That's also
delaying.
The story for the people that go into the silos. They need to know that they're being saved from something.
Right.
They think they're being saved from the nuclear holocaust. Mm-hmm. They need a story other than, we're killing the world and you're just going to go stay in the silos because they think they're being protected.
So they needed an actual nuclear blast.
Yeah. Whether it was actual or projected, who knows? But they think that's what they're being saved from.
I'm not a physicist or whatever, but I guess you could have that type of blast that's not necessarily nuclear or radioactive.
They've had a couple of explosions in the Middle East where people thought it was nuclear just because it was so big.
Right.
So you could have big explosions that...
they always talk about the blinding light and everything like that. So,
but anyway, overall, Silo Stories is excellent.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
And
well
there's
worth your time.
so much more that you can do with it.
And the thing is, these stories made the world bigger than it was. In the Silo series, we talked about had great world building, really pulled you in, and then now there's even more.
This blew it up. I know. Like the possibilities are.
And what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to come back next week, and we're going to give you our ideas of what stories we would like to see and continued in the Silo series. Okay. So we'll see you next time.
We're going to have like a little summary or pitch meeting.
Yeah.
For our ideas.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I read two of the fan theories that Hugh Howey had given the go ahead to, so I can give you my breakdown of those.
Well, all right, folks. We'll do that next week on Princes of the Universe.